Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Monday once again. Hopefully y'all had a good day today.
Why is there a red border around it?
Because it's nothing to do with anything.
Nothing to do with this? Or?
No, it's
okay.
It's just that because I clicked on it.
Yeah, click, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't show up on.
Yeah.
It's so weird. You can change the size or whatever.
Yeah,
you can do that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's all. Everyone's like, "What red border? What are you talking?"
Yeah, if you hear the noise, man, it's blowing like fucking crazy.
It's super windy outside.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's been like that all day. Like I was in the gym this morning, I could hear the trees snapping outside of the house.
It's getting warmer. Maybe it's a cold front coming in.
Yeah,
causing the wind, or maybe a hot front's coming in.
It's probably a hot front at this time of year. Mm-hmm. We don't have hot fronts. It's just always hot.
Yeah,
it's just always hot, and every now and then it gets like 3 degrees cooler, and everyone gets all excited.
Well, in the summer.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's April now, so it's not going to be cold anymore.
Right.
So this movie here, I've been wanting to do this movie for a long time, because I feel like this movie doesn't get talked about much, and I feel like it's kind of underrated.
I remember when it came out, it was like a high-end movie.
Yeah, it actually did pretty well.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater. I'm 99% sure I saw this in the theater. Okay, I'm 100% sure I saw this in the theater. And I don't think I've seen it since then. So I've been wanting to rewatch it because I remembered really liking it. And I know that like after Silence of the Lambs came out in 1990, I think that was, there was this huge rash of like serial killer thrillers and stuff. I think this one came out like either the same year or the year after Seven, which we've also reviewed. But I kind of feel like this is more similar to Silence of the Lambs than it is to Seven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, more like I like both of them. I like Seven and Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I do too.
This one was, like you said, more like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it's not exactly like that, but it's like it's more similar to that than that. But yeah, so
more action than Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, and this I had forgotten how gory this was. It's not gory, but it's not like horror movie gory. But I forgot how violent like parts of it were, because I remembered liking it, but I didn't remember much about it other than that.
Basically, a star-studded cast.
It's a really good cast. Everybody's great in this.
Yep, and got old what's her name running the show on there, fucking
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver, and she does a good job in this. You know, she never really phones anything in. She's pretty good. Although I got to say, Sigourney Weaver is always Sigourney Weaver in the movie. She's almost kind of like she's playing herself. You know?
Well, she's a very distinctive individual. Yeah. So it's just kind of like everything she's going to bring that Sigourney energy to it.
Yeah.
Because that's just how she rolls. You know what I mean?
Like the female Tom Cruise.
But I like in this that they made her, because usually Sigourney Weaver, she tends to play kind of more powerful characters, like, high-powered executives, all that kind of stuff, like badass kind of characters. So I like that they made her in this, she kind of starts out as that, but then, like, some bad shit happens and she just is, like, really vulnerable and fucked up. Yeah. And I really like that it's like, I was thinking while I was watching it, I was probably like, she probably loved like playing this role, because this is like a little bit different than what she usually plays.
Well, it's kind of like Ellen Ripley though, in a certain way too. She went through some trauma, and then she had the fucking hang up about the xenomorphs. Yeah, she's got this one just got attacked by a serial killer. She survived it
in a horrible way.
Yeah, now she's fucking scared of serial killers and confronts them.
Well, she has agoraphobia. She can't even leave her apartment. Like, she can't even go out into the hallway. Yeah, so that's how bad it is.
So she's kind of like pseudo weak. She does her shit though. You know what I mean? Fucking, but yeah, she's scared. But she gets over it.
I wouldn't blame her. I would be scared too. Yeah. But and I really like too that they contrasted her with Holly Hunter, and I love Holly Hunter. Like, I've loved her in everything I've seen her in, because Holly Hunter is a tiny little woman, and Sigourney Weaver is a very tall, kind of statuesque kind of woman. So I like that they kind of like switched it up, because Holly Hunter is this kind of badass little bitty, take no shit kind of cop, like inspector.
Got great legs in the movie too.
Yeah, and I like that they contrasted between the two characters. And the thing about it too, I was reading on Wikipedia about this, and they said originally the script, Holly Hunter's character, Inspector Monaghan, was initially supposed to be a man. And the initial script had a romance between him and Sigourney Weaver's character. And I was like, thank fucking God they did not do that. Well, because the director was like, he's like, why don't we just take out the romance shit and then we'll make them both women? Because you don't really see that. It's like you see a lot of male buddy cop type of movies, but you don't really see anything with 2 female leads like this, like a serial killer type thriller. And he thought that would be kind of interesting. And, it didn't really need the romance angle because that's like so fucking cliche. They have to.
It would have complicated the movie and changed the tone anyway.
Yeah, and they did kind of leave a little bit of that in because Sigourney Weaver kind of has like a mild flirtation with Holly Hunter's partner, who is a man, played by Dermot Mulroney, but it doesn't go anywhere, and I like that they did that, because they're just kind of like, neither of us is in a good place. He's kind of into Holly Hunter, too, at the same time, and spoiler alert, he gets killed. So, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really go anywhere, but I like that they didn't put that in there, because, like I said, they have to shoehorn, like, fucking romance into it. I guess because they think, oh, well, women want to see that. Well, I don't like romance movies generally. Like, I like some of them, but especially if I'm watching like a thriller or a horror movie, like, keep that shit out of there. I don't want that in there. Yeah, you don't got to put that in there just so girls will watch it. That's dumb.
Yeah. Midnight's Edge has they've covered that fucking angle for years now.
I mean, they've been doing that forever.
If you're gonna market to a female audience, you better know what the fuck you're doing. Okay, in a movie like this, the standard thing is to make a good movie.
Yeah.
All right? And if it's oriented towards a male audience, that's okay. The women will like that too. Women like male-oriented movies. Fucking Predator. Fucking Alien and Aliens 2. They were actually marketing towards guys. Women love that. She loves those movies.
Yeah, I love those movies.
And Predator only had one woman in it. It didn't matter. It's a good cast.
Well,
same thing with The Thing. That was aimed towards men. A lot of women like that. Because
there's no female characters.
There's no female, yeah. And a lot of women liked that
Except
movie.
for maybe some of the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew a lot of women that liked that movie. And girls
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Scary, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And, this is a generalization, obviously, but I kind of feel like movies that are made for, like, that have female characters or are geared toward a female audience, a lot of times dudes won't watch those.
And women don't go to see them.
But, well, it depends on what it is, I guess. Yeah, but movies that are made for male audiences, women will go see them and not complain about it.
Well, what I'm talking about is the new Charlie's Angels that came out bombed. The new Ghostbusters bombed. A lot of that shit was aimed towards the female audience. They didn't show up. They just didn't go to the theater.
Well, yeah, there's probably a lot of reasons for that. I didn't see either one of those, so I don't really know if they were just shitty movies or whatever. But, it's hard to say,
They just tend not to show up.
Well, and I think, too, that it's just kind of a thing where those particular movies were just like, oh, well, this is just that movie, but with a different cast. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like people just weren't really bothered.
Now, it also kind of corresponded to what happened with the Marvel Universe. They started to come out with more female-oriented Marvel movies. The women didn't go to see them. Less people saw them, and the people that did see them were men. They got the data. Women aren't interested in superhero movies.
I mean, some are, but I'm not. But it's like I said, I'm a horror girly, so I'm kind of more into that kind of shit.
And what was funny is that
and I don't give a fuck who the character is. Just make a good movie.
The more male-oriented superhero movies had more female in the audience.
Yeah,
so it's too dangerous to market directly to females all the time. It's best to just make a good fucking movie, something that a dude would see. And the women will love it. That's just
make a good movie.
Make a good fucking movie. Yeah.
End of story.
End of story.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't matter
to market it.
It doesn't matter who the lead character is. Just make a good fucking movie.
Yeah. Stop trying to market it to target market. It doesn't really matter.
I mean,
it's art. Cinema is art.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But like I said, I kind of like, and this actually did, modestly well at the box office and got like pretty decent reviews. I think it's 70-80% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert loved it. So there's that. So you get her a pretty high score. And but yeah, I just really like the way they did this. So the story is Sigourney Weaver, she plays a character who's like a serial killer expert. She's like a psychiatrist, and she's written like a bunch of books about it. And at the beginning, she's given this lecture about serial killers. And in the audience, she sees this serial killer who's played by Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
Who's a hoot in this. Yeah. He's only in like 3 or 4 scenes, but he fucking steals every scene that he's in.
I forgot about that.
I mean, he's mostly a singer.
Yeah.
But he's been in a few movies here and there.
I thought it was kind of corny. He's got a real fucking thick, fake Southern accent, and they're trying to do kind of like the fucking dangerous, I don't know, fucking hillbilly or redneck routine, and I took it as that they were ripping off Cape Fear.
Yeah, probably. That's probably where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, they were like, they're trying to do what they did in Cape Fear.
Yeah,
Cape Fear was a much better movie than this one.
Well, I mean,
they're both good.
Cape Fear is a great fucking movie.
Cape Fear was a fucking great movie.
Actually, both versions are great. Which I don't think... Have we reviewed...
I don't know.
Have we reviewed Cape Fear?
I don't think so.
I don't think we reviewed either Cape Fear. We should probably do that at some point. Because both versions are good.
This isn't a bad movie, but Cape Fear was better.
Well, yeah, but like I said, I kind of feel like this is a movie that it's not like a masterpiece or anything, but I kind of feel like it's one that a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about 90s movies, you know what I mean? Because so many came out, like, and everybody talks about Silence of the Lambs still, and Seven, and stuff like that, but nobody really talks about this one, and that's, like, a shame, because this one is, like, really, really good. Like, all of the character work is good, and I don't know, I just really like the shit about it. So, this serial killer, turns out, like, she thinks she sees him in the audience, but then, like, she looks again and he's not there, so she thinks maybe she's just seeing shit. But then, like, she goes in the bathroom afterward, and she's got a guard, because I guess she gets kind of this kind of crap all the time, because she writes about serial killers. So, but she goes in the bathroom, and the guy gets in there, and basically just, like, hangs her, like, up in one of the stalls.
With a wire.
And then, like, kills a cop in front of her and all this other kind of shit. And it's, like, super traumatic, as it would be. And then he gets caught, and then, like, a year and a half later, she's just, like, completely fucking traumatized, and she has retreated into her really nice apartment, actually. They did, actually, all the exteriors in this are shot in San Francisco, where the movie is set. All the interiors, I think, were on a set, so, they built the inside of that apartment. But her apartment's, like, super cool. But she's just, like, she has complete PTSD. She can't go outside anymore. She can't even leave her fucking apartment ever. Like I said, they show her at one point, like, the newspaper is in the hall outside her apartment, and she can't even go outside the apartment to get it. She's trying to, like, pull it in with a broom and shit like that, because she just can't leave. So she has a assistant to help her out with shit, who I thought he lived there at first, but I don't think he does. I think he, like, leaves at the end of the day, but maybe he does stay there sometimes, because I think he has a room. But his name is Andy, and he's a gay man, so he also gets killed later on, unfortunately, because he's actually, like, a really good character. But she so she can't have intimate relations with a man. She can't do any of this stuff anymore, just because she can't do anything, and she just, like, drinks all the time and just popping pills, and she's a mess. You know what I mean? She's a mess. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's another serial killer, because the serial killer that attacked her, whose name is Daryl Lee Cullum, he's in prison. But there's another serial killer roaming around. So, see, this is kind of why it's like Silence of the Lambs, because that was the whole thing, too, where there's a serial killer who's incarcerated, and he's helping catch the one that's still running around. You know what I mean? But, so this guy, they don't figure this out until they bring Sigourney Weaver on board, because she calls them and tells them about it. But he's doing these murders, and he's very meticulously setting them up to mimic the most famous crime scenes of different serial killers. Like, he does the Hillside Stranglers, he does the Boston Strangler, at one point later in the movie he does a Jeffrey Dahmer, like, he does Albert DeSalvo, like, there's a bunch of other ones that he does. And like I said, they don't figure this out, because they're like, well, wait, is this the same guy? Because, like, the MO is, like, a little bit different, like, for each one and everything, and they can't, like, figure out what's going on. So Holly Hunter is, like, the lead investigator on the case, and her partner, who's played by Dermot Mulroney, they're kind of trying to figure this out. And then Sigourney Weaver sees some shit about it on the news, or finds out about it somehow, and she starts calling them anonymously, trying to tell them, hey, he's doing all these different serial killers. But at first, they just think she's a crank. But then they trace the call, and they find out who she is, and they're like, oh, she's like famous and she's like a expert on serial killers, so we should go see her. But then when they go see her, she's clearly a mess. You know what I mean? Like, she's just popping pills. She's like, she's super angry. She doesn't want to get involved. They kind of show her all of these crime scene photos, like, to try to get her help. She has a panic attack and all this other kind of shit. And they're just kind of like, okay, whoa, well, okay, well, call us if you can help. Sorry we interrupted you, blah, blah, blah. It was all this other kind of shit. But eventually, obviously, otherwise there would be no movie, she kind of gets over her shit and decides she wants to help catch this guy. And the guy, the only criticism I have of this movie is I wish they had gone a little bit more into that dude's background. Not a lot, because like I said, you don't want to demystify or anything like that, but it's like, why? I guess the whole thing, and this was kind of a thing at the end, like when he kidnaps Sigourney Weaver and like hangs her, and she's just like, he's terrorizing her, and she just laughs at him and says, you know, you're just some lame ass copycat, like you can't even think of anything yourself, you're just mimicking all of these other serial killers, like trying to get famous, and that's really pathetic and all this other kind of shit. So you're led to believe that he's kind of pitiful, and that's like the only way that he can think of to get famous, because he wants to be famous, like Ted Bundy and all that other kind of shit. They do kind of hint at some shit, because they didn't go super into this, but he was married, right? Like, that was his wife. They showed her, like, laying in bed with her little puppy dog. And I thought that she was a lot older than him. Like, because he looked fairly young. Like, he only looked, like, in his 20s or maybe early 30s. And she looked like she was maybe 40s. And then I kind of thought, are they trying to give it like it's a mom thing? Like, you know, he has mommy issues? But I don't know. They didn't really go into it. And he kills her later, but they don't say anything about that.
I really didn't detect any like high-end thinking behind that character. Actually, it was just something that they pulled out of thin air, if you ask me.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a Hannibal Lecter, where there's a backstory and
right,
and a fucking definite character. He was just he was an avatar. He was kind of thin, and in the end, they tease a sequel. It never happens though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they were trying to do sequel bait or if they were just trying to make the point that, you know, oh, this poor woman is never going to escape from this because she writes about serial killers and now she's like a fucking target. So, you know.
The best on-screen serial killer character is Hannibal Lecter. And, you know, he's got a great backstory. The author that wrote that story knew what she was doing. And, I even liked what it's called, Hannibal Rising, which I thought was a masterpiece, but just critically panned. But I thought it was a really good. It was a European movie. But Lecter, that's the fucking. If you're into serial killer characters on screen, Lecter, hell yeah. Because when you analyze him, he's basically a vampire and Batman. That's what they did. That's what they did.
Which is not much like a real serial killer, but they're a lot more interesting to watch in a movie.
Noble upbringing. He's basically like a count, the son of a count or a lord. He's fucking got a fucking castle that he loses. The Soviets fucking take it. Fucking ends up being a badass in a fucking orphanage. Gets a medical background. He's a fucking cannibal. Becomes a cannibal. How he becomes a cannibal out of vengeance for what, just because they ate his sister, Misha. He was looking for the dudes that did it. So he starts off as basically kind of like being Batman, but by the time the end of it, he's a cannibal at the very end. He's eating them out of revenge. That's a good writing, you know. Movies like this, you know, I think they're kind of thought up of pretty quickly. They're not thinking about the big picture. They're just like, Well,
like I said, one thing I did kind of like about it. Now, Zach said there was a deleted scene, apparently, showing the guy as a kid locked in a closet by his mom and then setting the house on fire. Now, see, that would make sense because later on in the movie, when he realizes that the cops are onto him and that they're on the way to his house, he kills his wife and sets the house on fire, so the cops can't get in there and can't get any evidence and stuff. So that actually probably would have explained a lot, and that's probably all that needed to be in there. Like I said, they didn't really need a lot, because I don't really like when they over-explain the villain, but it would have been, maybe that one scene would have been sufficient. Like I said, I did get the vibe that there was, because there was a scene with him and his wife, who, like I said, was notably older than him. And so I kind of got, like, you know, weird mommy vibes. Yeah. So I said, okay, well, that was clearly deliberate, but they don't go too much into why, other than him just, like, wanting to be famous, and him not really having any creativity, I guess. Yeah. Even serial killers need to be creative, I guess.
Yeah, this movie's about the good guys. It's not so much about the villain.
I mean, the villain's just kind of there, like, so because he's not really in it much. Like, they don't really show, I mean, some of the crime scene photos and stuff like that, and some of the murders that he does are fairly graphic, like, especially, like, some of the, you know, slitting throats and stuff. But they're mostly concentrating on Sigourney Weaver and Holly Hunter's characters and how they're trying to catch this dude.
Some of the 90s internet scenes are cool. He was sending the fucking cops these tease fucking videos and shit over the internet.
Like who the next victim was going to be.
Yeah, and it's pretty creepy.
That one GIF he sent, I guess it would be a GIF back then. Yeah, was it? This was 1995.
I don't know if they had GIF.
I don't know. Did they even have GIF?
They had MPEG.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah. It was too long to be a GIF, actually. I think it was 30 seconds. So but yeah, it was pretty creepy because he had taken this video of this girl at this, you know, 90s kind of hip, like, neo-hippie kind of festival, and he was going to kill her next, was the assumption, and he kind of had her, and then, like, her face morphed into a skull and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's actually pretty creepy, you know, because it looked like old school, like, internet kind of shit. And then Zach also said, yeah, I wanted to bring this up too. Did y'all hear about how the guy who wrote Woman in the Window basically ripped off this movie for the story of the book? And the movie they made of that book was awful, and apparently now they're making a TV series about that author and his lies. Yeah, I haven't seen, like, I remember the hype about that book, and I remember, like, when the movie came out. I have not read the book, and I have not seen the movie either, but I did read that, and I think, like, the director of this movie, who is a British guy, by the way, named John Amiel. I'm not really sure how you pronounce his last name. But they told him about it later, because I think they didn't even figure it out until... Well, the book Woman in the Window didn't come out until 2018, and maybe the author thought, man, 1995 was so long ago that nobody remembers it. So I'm just going to rip off this. I don't know how close the story of the Woman in the Window is to Copycat, but... apparently, like, the director was like, wow, that's something, and then he was just like, well, I don't even know if that's actionable, but, you know, he didn't really do anything about it. But I'd be curious. Now I kind of want to go, like, read a synopsis of The Woman in the Window and see if it was, like, ripping this movie off. But there was, nobody sued anybody, but the New York Times, like, wrote an article about it a few years back, about how fucking close it was. But yeah, CB said, yeah, Jenny, an author, a serial killer that wants to fuck mommy. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I think that was the point of that scene that they showed him with his wife. And also that his wife was just upstairs in bed, like, with the dog, and he's down in the basement. He had a victim down there, injecting her with fucking window cleaner or whatever the fuck. Yeah. With the bag over her head.
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, I think at that point he was doing Hillside Stranglers, you know. Yeah. Bianchi and Buono.
They suffocated people?
I think they did, yeah. And because we did a show about them a long time ago, but I can't, like, really remember. It was two guys, they were cousins, right? Yeah. And then, but they show actually some of what I believe are the real crime scene photos from some of these serial killers.
Son of Sam.
Exploits. Yeah, he did, yeah, that's right, he did Son of Sam, too. Like, he did a Berkowitz. But that was, like, a kind of a quick scene, because he just, like, picked up a girl, or he got in a girl's car, and then just shot her in the head, and stuff like that. Yeah, and Zach also said at one point when they wrote this movie, the Holly Hunter character was going to be a man. Yeah, I brought that up a little bit earlier. But like I said, I'm glad that they made it not that. Because I think that just would have been too easy. It would have been, like, too much like other movies of this type. Because like I said, it would have been a buddy cop, not necessarily a buddy cop kind of movie, but you always have, like, two detectives, you know, kind of, and they're different, and they're always grating on each other's personalities and stuff, and, like, one's real laid back and one's a stickler and all this other kind of shit, and it's, you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like that dynamic is so overplayed that it was a lot more interesting to have a female character being the lead detective and, you know, Sigourney Weaver being, like, the main character that was, like, helping them. Like, she had a male partner too, and he kind of factored into shit, but I thought it was cool, like, the dynamic between the two of them. I thought they played really well off of each other, you know? But yeah, it's... I don't know. It's funny because we were watching this movie, and the guy who plays the serial killer, what the fuck was his name? Peter Foley or... Well, he would go around giving people... Because I think at one point when he was trying to do his Jeffrey Dahmer thing, and he went to a gay bar, and he actually ended up picking up Sigourney Weaver's assistant, whose name was Andy, and killing him and cutting his head off and, like, dumping him in a river or something. And so, like, while he was doing that, like, he was telling McCollum, the guy Cullum, who was in jail, that his name was Peter Curtin. And I was like, well, that's a serial killer too, like, but from the 1930s. And then, like, a second later, Sigourney Weaver said, that's a German serial killer from the 1930s. I'm like, I know. It's like, so he's giving people, like, fake serial killer names. So that's what she started calling him, because at that point they didn't know what his name was. But yeah. But it's funny, because so the guy that played the serial killer, I thought, and Tom also thought, I was like, is that the same guy that played Tony in the Stephen King written miniseries of The Shining that was directed by Mick Garris?
It looks like the same guy.
That came out in 1997, which was only a couple years after this.
It may not be. But
and I was like, man, that really does look like the same guy. So that got us on a whole thing where after we watched this movie, we went and rented the Mick Garris, like, Shining one, which I don't like that much. I'm enjoying it more this time, I think. But we're only, like, we're less than halfway through because it's super long. It's like 3 and something hours.
$5 to on Amazon.
It was $6 actually.
$6,
it was
$5.99, yeah, to rent it. I enjoyed it.
But I think but I don't think that's the same guy. Now that I'm looking at the guy that played Tony, it looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the same guy. I'm pretty sure it's not the same guy. But that's what. So that got us off on that whole rabbit hole. So we started watching that last night. We were up until like midnight, and then we were like, man, it's getting so late. We like have to turn this off. We have to watch the rest of it tonight, you know, because you only have 48 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. As 90s thrillers go, I feel like this is a really good one, and it just gets overlooked all the time. The guy that directed this, like I said, he's a British guy. He's directed like a fuck ton of stuff, like movies and TV. But he won a BAFTA for the 1986 adaptation of The Singing Detective, that Dennis Potter book. I think they remade it again with Robert Downey Jr., but this was the one from the 80s, which was really good. That was a weird ass book, by the way. He also did a couple Walking Deads a couple years ago, like back in 2022 or something like that. But he's done like a fuck ton of stuff. So it's not an American director. So I think it was, you know, that was probably better because of that. It's not quite as like over the top, but I don't know. I really dug this, and I really dug all of I liked all the characters' interactions with one another. It's a long movie. It's like 2-something hours. But it didn't seem like it. Like, it never seemed to drag or anything like that, because I think all the characters were really interesting, and there was always something, you know, interesting going on. So, you know, what did you think of it overall?
It was okay. It was okay. Is this something that I would go, like, and revisit? No. I'd rather see something, like you said, like 7. Or like, remember that was Single White Female?
Yeah.
There was a lot of other shit from the 90s that was better. But if you've seen all that stuff, then yeah, you know, I guess you could go back and see this. But it's in the middle. But
yeah,
you know, it's just, you know, to my taste, no, it's not all that great. Just sorry. It did have its moments, though. It had its moments where it was pretty cool, but no. Didn't really pull me in that much.
Zach said, also saw a thing where Sigourney said this is the performance she's most proud of, too.
Really? Huh.
Well, like I said, because this is not...
It's not really her normal
yeah, it's not like a character she usually plays. And it's interesting that while I was watching it, I said she probably had a lot of fun with this because she gets to play a complete fuck-up. Yeah. Like a mental case, kind of. Like, for a large part of the movie. Like, she gets her shit together, like, as the movie goes on. And she finally gets over the agoraphobia and everything. And, you know, nuts up and all ovaries up.
So Jen's probably giving it an 8. I'm giving it more like a 5.
Yeah, I'd probably say like a 7 or a 7.5.
Okay. Then
like I said, it's not. You can tell that it was inspired by Silence of the Lambs. It's not really much of anything like Silence of the Lambs, but the thing about it is that Silence of the Lambs is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, that's a 9.
I mean, easily, or more.
9.5, yeah.
I've seen that movie so many times, I probably could repeat the whole thing from memory. That's how many times I've seen it. And I saw that in the theater, too, when it originally came out. And I've seen it probably about 100 times since then. Because every time it was on, I'm like, ooh, Silence of the Lambs. I'm going to watch it again. You know what I mean? And I'll just, like, talk along with the dialogue. You know, so, obviously, in comparison to that, it's not going to stand up that great. But, like I said, there's a lot of way shittier movies that came out in the wake of Silence of the Lambs, and I just feel like this one is really good, and a lot of people don't talk about it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, there's a lot shittier movies. But sometimes a shitty movie can be very entertaining, you know. This one was just, like I said, it's in the middle. I mean, I've seen low-budget movies that were really shitty that I'd put higher than this, just from entertainment value.
Just because they're so terrible that you're just,
you can't believe it. They're fun to watch, you know.
Yeah, I get that, too.
Yeah, like, you know, Friday the 13th, parts 1 through 3 are actually kind of shitty movies. But they're fun to watch. Much more fun to watch than this.
Well, this is kind of more a serious
It's more serious, yeah.
That's what I mean. This is not, you know, this is not like, let's get drunk with my friends and smoke some weed.
Sometimes that's
and watch this movie.
Sometimes that's
This is more like a serious serial killer thriller kind of movie.
It's competing with the movies of its time, like she said earlier, like Seven. What else is single white female? Fucking Cape Fear. Silence of the Lambs. It's trying to...
I will concede, Seven is a great fucking movie.
It's a trip. I like Seven, yeah.
But I think this one is slightly more entertaining than Seven. Because Seven has some slow bits.
Yeah.
And this movie really doesn't. I mean, I didn't think this had any slow bits.
Remember that really... I'm an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. Arnold Schwarzenegger came out with a pretty shitty movie. I think it was called End of Days.
Yeah, that was
the devil.
I think that's the only movie that I ever left the theater. I was like, nah, fuck this movie.
Terrible, man. Fucking, my friend likes it. Fucking Little Swell's like, oh, that's one of his best movies, man. He steals the devil's woman. It don't matter. But anyway, that movie actually, when I watched it, I was like, this movie wants to be Seven so badly. Like a lot of the tone that it was trying to get. It was trying to get Seven.
Couldn't quite manage it.
Yeah,
no. I mean,
no.
That whoever directed End of Days is no David Fincher. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I mean, most people are not.
Yeah, it was like a paranormal cop action flick.
Now, Gabriel Byrne was great in it, though.
Who was?
Gabriel Byrne was great.
I don't remember who that was.
But yeah, he's that Irish fella. He played the devil, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I've forgotten most of it. I probably mentally erased it. I was watching that shit and I go, this is fucking horrible.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because like I said, I got dragged to the theater to see it, and I'm just like, nah.
No, this is fucking horrible.
About 20, 30 minutes in, I was like, yeah.
And I in general like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, but that one was just like, oh, bad.
Yeah. CB said, I love that Daryl asked Helen for a pair of her panties, but told her at the end she didn't have to. Yeah. That's what I mean. Did they... No. Now, here's the thing. He did ask for her panties, like, for his help. Because he was the one, you find out later, spoiler alert, that he was the one kind of telling the serial killer that was still out, like, all the information about her, like, to fuck with her. And then, like, after the serial killer gets shot, like, he has another disciple that writes to him and is like, hey, why don't you go fuck with her now, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But he says to that guy at the very end, right before the credits roll, that it's like, oh, she's gonna send me these panties and they're signed by her and everything like that. It's a real collector's item. So I'm assuming, I don't know if she ever sent them or not. That was gonna be in the sequel. But she said she was gonna. I'm sure she probably never did.
Yeah.
Because it's like the dude was dead, so she was just like, man, I don't need your fucking help anymore. I'm not sending you my underwear. Fuck off. You know what I mean? That was like fucking... He was so fucking... he was so fucking gross, this fucked up tooth in the front and everything like that. That was like hilarious. And Zach said, I guess she talked to the psychiatrist who worked with Ted Bundy. to get into the role. Yeah, Park Dietz, I think, is who she consulted with on that. Let me see. American Military says, I actually like Manhunter 1986 with William Peterson more than Silence of the Lambs. They were both great, though. I've been wanting to review Manhunter for a really long time. I don't think
I've seen it.
Really? Oh, you probably should. Like, it's long, but it's like the first Hannibal Lecter movie. Yeah. Oh, it's obviously Anthony Hopkins isn't in it.
Yeah.
But it's a great fucking movie. But like I said, it's kind of long and it's like just very serious, but it's a great fucking movie. So we should probably review that. I think it's on Prime for free because I saw it the other day and I was like, oh, we should review that. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Maybe we can do that next week. Tigglytoot says, have you guys seen Backcountry or Frozen? I have seen both of those.
Frozen, isn't that a Disney flick?
No. There's another one. I think she's probably talking about the one where the people are trapped on the ski lift. Is that the one you're talking about? Because that was great. Like, you wouldn't think, but it's people trapped in a ski lift, and then the resort, like, closes for a long time. Well, and then they're stuck up there.
Well, you wouldn't think a Filipino or a Thai movie about a dude trapped in a fucking swimming pool would be...
an empty swimming pool with an alligator.
With an alligator. What was the name of that movie?
The Pool.
The Pool.
It was just called The Pool.
It was Thai?
I think it was Thai.
Thai, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude was trapped and couldn't get
out of the swimming pool. That was fucking great. That was a great movie.
Yeah, couldn't get out of the fucking swimming pool. It was fucking dry. And his leg was broken. And there was a fucking alligator in there with him. And a crack in the fucking wall. It was... And the whole time he's trying to get out.
Yeah, it's the whole movie.
The whole movie is trying to get out. It's great. It's
yeah.
Great, yeah.
And Backcountry was about... I think it was based on a real... Sort of like of a bear attack. Like, it was a couple that was out camping.
Yeah.
And, man, what the bear does to that dude... Wow, that was really fucked up. That was really fucked up. I don't remember if I reviewed it or not. I'm pretty sure... God, I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure I reviewed Frozen on this channel somewhere, like just me. I might have done Backcountry too, but I can't remember. I just feel like, because we watched it, or I watched it, like a few years ago, and usually when I watch something, I usually review it. Unless it just doesn't make any impression at all, and I'm just like, man, fuck that movie. You know what I mean? Most of the time, if I watch something, I'll review it. I'm pretty sure I did Frozen. But, and maybe Backcountry. I don't know. I have to go, I'll look after and see if I did. And maybe I can put the links or something like that. Yeah, Tigglytoo said Backcountry fucked me up. Yeah, it was kind of fucked up. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure it was based on, or at least loosely based on something that really happened. And getting eaten by a large animal is really not the way I want to go out. That's in my top 5 lists of ways I don't want to die. Yeah. It's getting eaten by an animal. No thanks. I mean, shark is top of the list, but bear is up there too. Yeah. It was a big ass grizzly bear. Yeah, Tigglytooth says, I'm going to find some movies you guys haven't seen. I need to go through my watched list. Yeah, do, because, I mean, I see a lot of shit, but there's always stuff that falls through the cracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually we'll get around to it. I still have a huge list, but like I said, it's not like we're going anyplace probably, so
yeah.
We're just going to need movies for the next 50 years or however the fuck long we're alive and
I got 50 years
doing this shit. Yeah. You never know. You might get some transhumanist.
I'd be 105 in 50 years.
Yeah, you might get transferred into like a robot body before then.
I might be living inside the internet.
That's what I mean.
Download my soul into the internet.
Think positive.
Yeah. All right, Jen, let's go ahead and shut it down. We got shit we got to do today.
All right, we are gonna shut it down for this evening. We're gonna go watch the rest of the 1997 The Shining. Yeah. Oh, and also I think there's a new Hometown from HGTV, which we always watch on Monday nights too. They're doing the town of Sebring, Florida. Actually, they're redoing the whole town. So, that's pretty cool, like doing renovation. I don't know why that show is just so wholesome and charming, and I'm really into it. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully you guys have a good day tomorrow. Please come back on Wednesday. We are doing more true crime, and we're talking about yet another fucking horrible serial killer piece of shit. This one, Joseph Paul Franklin, who is also, in addition to being a serial killer, is also a white supremacist neo-Nazi. So, yay. So that should be super, super fun, and he killed a really, really lot of people. So hopefully you can come to that on Wednesday, and have a good rest of your evening. Good